The world of mixed martial arts has never been short on controversy. But when Ronda Rousey speaks, the entire industry listens. Once the face of women's MMA, she has now reignited one of the sport's most uncomfortable debates: fighter pay. Rousey openly questioned whether the Ultimate Fighting Championship still offers fair compensation, claiming it is no longer the best place for athletes to build a living. Her words didn't just spark discussion, they triggered a firestorm. For years, fighters have quietly debated the business side of the sport, but now those conversations are happening in public, led by one of the biggest pioneers the sport has ever seen. This isn't just about money. It's about legacy, respect, and the reality behind the world's most brutal competition. And once those questions were asked, powerful voices stepped in to respond. Among those voices was Dana White, a man known for addressing controversy head-on. He didn't hesitate to respond, making it clear that the UFC stands by its record. According to him, Rousey wasn't underpaid. She was one of the highest-paid athletes in the organization during her peak. She wasn't just another fighter on the roster, she was the face of the company. Under the UFC banner, she became a global superstar, earning opportunities that extended far beyond the cage. White's argument was simple: the numbers speak for themselves. The UFC gave Rousey a platform that turned her into a household name, opening doors to Hollywood, endorsements, and global fame. From his perspective, the narrative that she was mistreated financially doesn't align with reality. But not everyone sees it that way. And that's where the debate truly begins. Then entered Khamzat Chimaev, bringing a much sharper and more direct tone. Known for his intensity inside the cage, his response outside of it was just as aggressive. Chimaev questioned Rousey's complaints, pointing out that before the UFC, she was an Olympic athlete struggling financially. He argued that the promotion didn't just pay her, it transformed her life. His message was blunt: if fighters don't like the pay, they have the choice not to fight. He also highlighted her success beyond MMA, mentioning her time in WWE and her Hollywood career. His argument expanded the conversation beyond UFC paychecks, suggesting that her total earnings paint a very different picture. For some, his words felt harsh. For others, they felt honest. Either way, they added fuel to an already explosive situation. To understand the backlash, you have to understand Rousey's side. Since aligning with most valuable promotions for her upcoming fight, she has been vocal about her experiences. She claimed that UFC executives interfered with potential matchups and didn't offer the financial guarantees she believed she deserved. She also pointed to massive broadcasting deals, questioning why fighters don't see a larger share of that revenue. Her message has been consistent across interviews and social media: fighters deserve better. And when she posted a tweet declaring that she bled for the sport and that fighters should demand more, it struck a nerve across the MMA world. For some, she became a voice for change. For others, she was rewriting history. But regardless of where people stand, one thing is certain: she has forced the sport to confront its financial reality. At the center of this debate lies a deeper question: is this about one fighter or the entire system? Critics of the UFC argue that while stars like Rousey earned millions, many fighters on the lower end of the roster struggle financially. Fighters often compete for relatively small purses, while the organization signs billion-dollar deals. Supporters of Rousey believe she is using her platform to speak for those fighters, the ones who never got the spotlight, the sponsorships, or the crossover opportunities. On the other hand, defenders of the UFC argue that the promotion provides exposure and opportunity that fighters can build on. This clash of perspectives has divided fans, analysts, and fighters alike. It's not just a disagreement. It's a reflection of how complex the business of fighting has become. While this debate continues, another name is rising rapidly in the world of MMA, Dakota Ditcheva. Her journey tells a completely different story, one built not on controversy, but on relentless work. She started training in a small room, far from the spotlight, with no audience and no recognition. Every strike, every session, every moment was driven by discipline. Before stepping into MMA, she was already a Muay Thai world champion, representing her country at a young age. Her foundation was built on precision, timing, and raw determination. Unlike the heated debates surrounding pay and promotion, Dakota's story is about growth through effort. She didn't wait for opportunity, she created it. And now, the world is starting to take notice of what she has built from the ground up. Dakota's transition into MMA was nothing short of dominant. From her debut, she showcased a level of skill that immediately separated her from the competition. Fight after fight, she delivered finishes, quick, decisive, and clinical. When she joined the Professional Fighters League, her rise accelerated even further. She didn't just win, she dominated. Knockouts, submissions, and complete performances became the norm. By the time she entered the PFL Europe tournament, it was clear she was operating at a different level. She captured the championship with a series of powerful performances, proving she was more than just hype. She was a real contender on the global stage. Her success wasn't built overnight. It was the result of years of discipline and sacrifice. Then came the moment that defined her career. In 2024, Dakota stepped into the biggest fight of her life, facing a top contender on a global stage. The pressure was immense, but she didn't fold. Instead, she delivered one of the most impressive performances of her career, finishing the fight with precision and confidence. With that victory, she became a world champion and secured a $1 million prize. It was a defining moment, not just for her, but for the division. She proved that she belonged at the top. Her record remained undefeated, her reputation skyrocketed, and her name became impossible to ignore. In a sport filled with uncertainty, she established herself as one of the most dangerous fighters in the world. Meanwhile, the conversation around Rousey continues to evolve, especially with her potential return against Gina Carano. This is more than just a fight. It's a clash of eras. Carano was one of the original pioneers of women's MMA, competing at a time when the sport was still finding its place. Rousey later took that foundation and turned it into a global phenomenon. Now, the possibility of these two meeting in the cage has reignited years of what-if debates. Fans are split. Some believe Rousey's grappling would dominate. Others believe Carano's striking could change everything. It's not just about who wins, it's about legacy, history, and who truly defines the evolution of women's MMA. As everything unfolds, one thing becomes clear. MMA is not just about fights. It's about stories, debates, and the people who shape the sport. From Rousey's fight for fighter pay, to Dana White's defense of the system, to rising stars like Dakota Ditcheva building their own legacy, the sport continues to evolve in real time. And with a potential blockbuster showdown on the horizon, the stakes have never been higher. Whether you support Rousey's message, stand with the UFC, or are simply here for the fights, this moment represents something bigger than competition. It's about where the sport has been and where it's going next. Now the question is yours. Who do you believe? And what happens when the cage door closes?